Marked room keys on Escape from Tarkov's PVE mode kind of suck, and there's a couple of reasons for that. We're going to go through why my opinion is that marked room keys are just generally not worth opening, and I put my money where my mouth is, paying 12 million rubles in order to purchase the Abandoned Factory marked room key. I saved every single bit of loot bar some rounds that we managed to pick up within the actual room itself, which weren't valuable whatsoever. They were like a stack of 6 like FMJ rounds. They just weren't very good. So I saved up all of the loot. We purchased one for 12 million. This was a couple of days ago as of the recording of this video. And then I ran all 10 uses on the Abandoned Factory key, and I've put them both into cases, one called loot and the other one called loot 2. And this is what we managed to actually pull out of the marked rooms. So you might be thinking, okay, I'm going to do it in order to get a ton of coloured labs keycards, because at the end of the day, they're a really good chance of being able to get them. Or that's what you might think, is that you can profit off of these marked rooms. However, from opening up the Abandoned Factory marked room key, whilst also then opening up all of the reserve marked room keys at the exact same time, the overall loot just sucks ass. And at the time, I bought all of the RBVO, RBBK and RBPKPM for about 20 million rubles. This was when the Dorms marked room key was about 60 million rubles, which we'll talk about as well in this video. But essentially 60 million rubles, and we would have essentially lost about 10 million rubles because the Dorms key was about 50, something like that. So we would have had to have made 10 million in order to make it worth it. I can tell you straight off the bat, that was not the case. We did not make anywhere near 10 million rubles, although we did get a black key card, which was worth 9 million. So maybe we got super lucky, but out of the 27 uses of the RB keys, we only got 2 key cards. In fact, that's a lie. I got 3 key cards. We got the black key, we got the red key card, and we got a green key card. The red and the green were in the same room, so just mega lucky on one of the runs. But even so, they're only worth about 1 million rubles right now. So they really kind of sucked. But in terms of Abandoned Factory key, this is significantly cheaper because of the fact that you can't trade it in for a Dorms marked room key. So this is available at Jaeger loyalty level 3, I believe. You can trade in all of the reserve keys to be able to get yourself a Dorms 314. So if you use all of the 9 uses out of 10 to bring them to 1 out of 10, you can trade them in for a 10 out of 10's Dorms key, which is what I'm going to do right now. So we might as well do that. And there we go. So that's that one done, and we've got the Dorms key. So if we have a look at the price of this, it's probably come down quite a lot, considering the fact that I believe loot has also been nerfed at the moment. That's a separate video that I want to talk about, for those of you wondering, because I've seen loads of comments asking. It just doesn't seem to be as good. A lot of the methods we've covered recently, they're not as good, and that's just generally what I believe. But Dorms marked room key, 25 million. So we, from buying all of those marked room keys for like 20 million each, definitely lost about 40 million rubles. I can tell you that from doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and list up the Dorms key. We're going to lose a lot on the tax on the actual key itself. So yeah, 2.6 million. So we actually only get 23 million back for a 60 million outlay, which is ridiculous. And yeah, big old time waste as well, because opening up 9 out of 10 uses on the reserve keys, considering the RBVO is quite far out of the way, is painful. But most importantly, what did we get out of the Abandoned Factory? The actual loot from 10 runs. How much money did we specifically make? I'm going to go ahead and sell off all of this stuff that we did pick up. So you can see here we got a blank RFID card in this set, and then we've got another full case pretty much, bar one weapon here. But yeah, we got a 21 WS. We got 1 yellow key card out of all 10 of the uses. We got an 11 SR. That was pretty much it. I mean, the other loot was just stuff I'd pick up. Most of the time, you're not even going to pick up these things because it's just not worth the slots. Like picking up a Scar, picking up a Vector, picking up a Velociraptor. Like, you're not going to pick up this stuff for the most part. So you can wipe out pretty much probably 70% of this, and you would just never pick it up. Even some of the components that I took, it was just for the sake of like, I'll take them because we want to showcase off whether or not you can even make money. So this is like the best case scenario, taking obviously all of the valuable stuff. It sucks. I did want to note that for those of you wondering, it's always best to pick up the M60s because you can unload the ammo. They always have an M80 in them. You can see there we get 109 rounds just from those two M60s, and it's very dependable. You know, you can get 80 rounds like that one. But sometimes the rounds inside of these are worth actually just emptying them out. Same with the RSAS. This could be BCP. No, it was M80. So that's pretty much something to also know. Now, most of the time, it's not worth selling these on the flea because they are literally the same price to just listing to traders. So I'll just go ahead, sell everything. I'll let you know how much we made. So I've sold pretty much most things bar a couple of bits and bobs. So we have like 26, about 70k, like 250k total, about 320k. But the actual money that we made back from opening all 10 uses of the abandoned factory key was 4.85 million rubles plus the about 300k, so about 5.1 million rubles. So in opening all 10 uses of the abandoned factory key, I lost about 7 million rubles, which is about 60% of my money that I input into the cost of the marked room key. So that kind of sucks. And of course, when you're trying to open these things to get like the money or whatever that you think that you may get out of the room, it really isn't worth it for profit. However, there's a couple of things that I want to note because I know that someone is probably not going to have watched this video to this point and already commented, well, I open marked room keys because I don't have access to get labs access colored key cards, and so I open them to be able to get them. Absolutely perfectly fine, and I would recommend if you are running at a lower level that you should actually open up these keys, especially considering that you can get access to some of the stuff before you have access to them on the flea due to the level restrictions that are available. But in terms of purchasing the marked room keys in themselves, you have to be level 35 anyway, so that kind of sucks. But you can of course get them in the woods underground bunker, which I've done a video on how you can farm marked room keys. And maybe a factor as to why marked room keys have also crashed in price recently, as well as the fact that I believe that recently, within the last couple of days, that the loot in general across the entire board of Escape from Tarkov PVE mode has also been nerfed. So we're seeing the prices adjust and come back down. Due to that fact, many people were getting labs colored keycards relatively frequently, myself included. And yeah, it just really does kind of suck at the moment because the loot feels really, really bad in the rooms. You've probably seen a couple of highlights throughout this video of me opening up the room itself. It really feels awful. We can pick up the last couple of things from Ragman. Remember that the money that we've made is also not pure profit because we have flea commission that we're also paying on all of the items that we're like listing on the flea. So although we may have made 5 million, we've probably made like 4.7 or something like that, maybe even less due to that flea commission. So yeah, it does not feel good. And if you get marked room keys, as I've always said, it's best to just sell them unless you're specifically going to go, you know what, I don't care, it's PvE, I'm going to open them. I do it all the time. Me personally, just for the sake of like, it's something to do, it's content, I don't mind. And at the end of the day, at a certain point in the game, you have far too many rubles anyway that you don't care losing, 30 million rubles on opening up some marked room keys, which is perfectly fine. And that's exactly what I do. I do it all the time. I purchase marked room keys, I open them, and I don't really notice it anyway in terms of the stash value or anything like that. But yeah, if you want to make some quick money, opening marked room keys is going to put you back down to where you started, that's for sure. And considering that you're having to invest quite a bit of time, like 10 openings is like 10 raids essentially, where you're specifically having to go to a spot that is going to lose you money for the most part. And I already know there's also going to be someone in the comments that goes, well, I opened 10 uses and I got 2 black key cards and I made 8 million rubles profit. Well, considering I got 1 key card out of the entire 10 uses, and that being the least valuable one, yeah, maybe you could have got that yellow key card to be a black key card, but there's like a 1 in 5 chance that it's going to be a black key card, considering there's violet, there's blue, there's red, there's green. and the list that goes on. So yeah, any one of those could have been a black, but it wasn't, and for the most part it's probably not going to be. And so even when you do drop a key card, it's probably not worth that much. Say you got a green key card, they're like 1.8 million rubles the last time I checked. It's still not going to cover up the 7 million loss that I actually made opening up these rooms. And in terms of, that's just to break even if we got a black key card, we probably still would have just maybe broke even, but we probably still would have lost money. So that's getting, you know, considerably lucky, and you still lose money. So this is why marked room keys are really, really bad. And I just think generally opening them up in PvE, especially right now as of the recording of this video, in the future, if you watch a video and I say, hey, look, they're actually worth opening right now, that's probably because they are worth opening at the time that that video was published. But right now and for the foreseeable, I just don't see how you could ever open them and make money ever. Especially if they're on server side, which Abandoned Factory is, which is why the cost of those keys are considerably cheaper, because people can't just Alt F4 bug out of the game and essentially make sure that they do get money back, because they can just keep on opening up the room until they guarantee that they're getting value out of the room. But even then, there are so many better ways to make money in the game that are generally more fun, to be honest. And whilst, yeah, you can add these into your rooms, then you're going to make the money back in those 10 raids. If you're playing like normally, you're going to be picking up stuff and you'll cover the cost of the losses that you're making. If you're opening them for profit, just don't. But yeah, that's the video. Hopefully you did enjoy, found it informative, and me backing up what my claims are. Obviously, you can make up your own interpretation of whatever you want to feel like in terms of marked room keys, but that's just the statistics in terms of a 10 use key card that I opened up, or 10 use marked room that I opened up. Yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video coming soon. Goodbye.